regardless of what you want, what you say you want, we can't outperform our belief system, what we believe to be true. So, in other words, when Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're correct. He was 100% dead on. And that, if somebody asks about where's the magic sauce lie in all this, right there, the human soul ignites on fire the moment we genuinely believe that the thing we want is possible, but we got to earn that.
Hey, Patrick.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on as a guest on the mastermind call. I really appreciate it. When I had you on the podcast, you had such good information to share. I thought it makes sense to have you on the mastermind also. Yeah, we'll have some people trickle in and a lot of people go back and watch the recording so we can jump right into it. We'll keep it Q&A form. If you can just get started by giving us a little introduction about yourself so people have some background, and then we can jump right into it.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll just make it quick. Real estate guy since the late 90s and will always be in real estate. It's been through a lot of different, cycles and so forth in that space. Got into real estate education in the 2000s as part of a very large organization. My entire focus, my responsibility in that organization, we had thousands of students across the nation. My responsibility was managing client success, right? Coming out of that, I got more into the kind of the behavioral space, personal development space, and closing the gap between why we don't do what we know how to do when we know how to do and we know it's good for us and we want the results, right? That gap, and we all have that space. So put a lot of time into studying psychology and human behavior and connecting the dots between what we want to do and what we actually do and the results that we get in the way we experience life. And that's kind of the space that I focus on right now with entrepreneurs. Help you push through thresholds, help you push through roadblocks and ceilings that we kind of create in our lives. Family guy, I've been married 31 years, got three amazing kids. Still an athlete. I'm 57 years old and I still stay fit and athletically engaged. I'm a semi-retired rugby guy and retired MMA guy, but still play a little in both of them just to stay healthy, So
Awesome.
yeah, that's the short version of me.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And speaking of mindset, I truly, truly believe like all the problems that we have in our life, the solution is right here in our brain. So you work with many, many real estate investors. What are some of the mindset challenges that you notice investors have, that prevents them from being successful?
So, we could start with a very generic one, fear, right? And you say, well, what is fear? Fear is nothing more than, and this is all fear. All fear is simply anchored in not knowing the outcome, right? If we knew what was going to happen, then we wouldn't be afraid of it. May not like it, but we wouldn't be afraid of it. So, fear holds us back at many different levels. Another one is our belief system, and I share this with a lot of adults that regardless of what you want, what you say you want, we can't outperform our belief system, what we believe to be true. So, in other words, when Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're correct. He was 100% dead on. We can't outperform our fundamental beliefs. So, if somebody comes into, say, real estate and they have all these grandeur goals around it, but they don't fundamentally believe that they can achieve those results, then they can't. And that will be reflected in their decisions and behaviors and actions on a daily basis. Right? So to simplify this a bit, though, Sharad, I'd say most of us as adults, the only thing between where we're at and where we want to go is down at the foundation level. There's a belief holding us back. Once we get to it and we go through the process of undoing and substituting it with a proper belief that's in alignment with our results, the world's our oyster. So one thing I didn't mention, I spent a lot of time in the health and fitness space. I owned a gym for 13 years. And I saw that in the health and fitness space a lot, where people would come in and, again, big goals. Oh, Pat, I want to lose 30 pounds. I'm like, all right, great. Well, what have you done so far? Well, I've tried everything and nothing's worked. And those are important words because we're programming our subconscious when we say that, right? I've tried everything and nothing's worked. What they're really saying is, tried a bunch of different things, but I don't work. So my job is not at that point to give them a great nutritional plan or a great workout plan. My job is to overcome the belief that's limiting their behavior and their performance. Once I get that done, everything else is automatic. It just falls into place. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, no, it does. But how does someone help fix the belief system? Is it through affirmation, through reading, being in a mastermind where other people around you are doing the kind of things you want to do?
Those are all helpful. But here's the thing. Let's say you're really successful at something that I don't believe I can do. Just by hanging out with you, I'm not going to believe I can do it because you're you and I'm me. Again, as kids, it was a little different. We'll adopt other people's beliefs. But as adults, we're pretty protected in our belief system. There's a part of us which works in conflict to growth and change. That part wants us to stay exactly the way we are. Everybody has this part of them. That's that little voice that creeps in and challenges us and makes us doubt ourselves and creates confusion and a loss of confidence. Everybody has that as part of them the moment we try changing something. Okay. But to answer your question specifically, as adults, we need new evidence, factual evidence to support us to change an existing belief. So what does that mean? Let me give you an example. Okay. I'll just use the weight loss world just because everybody can relate to it. It's just easy to do. I had a guy that I worked with in our gym, and he was trying to lose, I forget, 30 or 40 pounds a while ago now. He's in his low 40s, hadn't done anything physically for 20 years since his 20, 23 years old, something like that, but had a good reason. And the reason was he wanted to support his wife in running a 5K. She was running a 5K charity event, something like that. And he had, I don't know, we'll call it 3 months to do it. And our trainers were getting nowhere with him. He wasn't making any progress. So they called me in to talk to him. And I asked him a very simple question, just looking straight in. I said, I got to ask you a question. We'll call him Joe. Joe, do you actually believe you can lose this weight and run a 5K in the next 3 months? And he said, no. I said, perfect. Our focus has got to be on your belief, not on the treadmill or the diet right now. We got to change the belief. And this is going to specifically answer your question. Okay. His goal was way up here. It's at the top of the ladder. Okay. What I did is I put rungs on the ladder that moved him towards that goal. But I had him focus exclusively always on just the next rung. So the first rung on his ladder was very simple. I need you, Joe, I need you to walk 1 mile a day for the next 5 days. Can you do that for me? He said, I could do that, Pat. I said, listen, when you say you're going to do it, though, I need you to do it. No matter, I don't care if you wake up and somebody amputated your leg. You still have to do it because what we're trying to overcome is your habit of being deceitful to yourself. You've got to earn trust in yourself that you'll do what you say you're going to do. Now, as adults, a lot of us have a huge track record of saying we're going to do things and then not doing them. And then we go to bring on something new, but deep down inside, we know we're not going to do it. And this is the path to salvation there. Earn the trust back in ourselves. Reestablish a new belief that we're actually somebody that can do this thing that we say we're going to do. So Joe walks 5 days, 1 mile a day. I'm like, Joe, how do you feel? I say, fantastic. Let's go to the next rung. And then we turn it up a little week by week. What happens is you build momentum in the process. Every time you go to the next rung, you get an extra boost of energy, and what we call momentum from the universe, and it speeds up the process. It gives you more energy to get to the next rung. A key to the process is this: once you identify the rungs on the ladder, you can only focus on the very next rung. 100% of your efforts have got to be on the success of the next rung. So in Joe's case, I want him to worry about nothing but getting up at 5:30 and walking a mile at whatever cost, but do not miss that mark. And over time, he starts realizing that I can do what I say I'm going to do. And I'm actually making progress. 3 weeks ago, I didn't walk at all. Now I'm walking miles each day. And now I'm starting to mix in a little jog at the end. And he sees progress, evidence that things are changing. And this is where something magical happens, Sharad. Once he can see some change, he doesn't necessarily have the full belief that he's going to make it, but he believes it's possible. And that, if somebody asks about where's the magic sauce lie in all this, right there, the human soul ignites on fire the moment we genuinely believe that the thing we want is possible. But we got to earn that. Does that
Right.
answer your question?
It does. It does. Yeah. So if I put it in real estate investing
Yep.
context, basically you might have this goal of doing, let's say, for someone who's starting out, they may have a goal of doing, 5 deals this year. Rather than focusing on the 5 deals, you have to look at, what's the input that you need to put in, that you need to, the activity that you need to do on a day-to-day basis, and almost stop worrying about the output that you're going to get, which is the 5 deals out of it.
100%. You couldn't have said
And
it better. So we should be measuring our success and our progress, not on to your point, the outcome, but are we executing the behaviors that are necessary to produce
yeah,
the outcome? And
that's what
on the ladder, 100%.
that's what we tell. I've done a couple of these calls for a couple of masterminds that I'm in. Like when we look at the secret, or if you want to call it a secret, the things that 7-figure real estate investors are doing, they're not doing anything special. They're not, I mean, the only thing that they're doing is they're more consistent than the investors that are not, doing the number of deals that they want to do. And it's kind of like going back to the example of the losing weight or running a 5K. Let's say it's a 5K, someone wanted to run a marathon. You're still doing basically the same thing, the same activities, but your intensity is higher. Instead of someone walking a 1 mile per day, you may have them start out at, 2 miles a day and then ramp it up. It's kind of like the same thing when I look at real estate investors. They're so consistent with everything that they're doing day in, day out. And just kind of to your point, they break their goal. They're not so focused on, hey, I want to do, we have investors that are doing 20, 30, 40 deals a month, but they're not like obsessed with, oh, how do I, that I want to get to 20 deals, 30 deals, 40 deals. They're obsessed with the process. They're obsessed with the things that are in their control. They're obsessed with, hey, I got to send marketing out every month. Like that's something that needs to go in, go out. The mail needs to go out every month at the same time. Then when the calls are coming in, they're obsessed with the fact that they want to pick up those calls live. So that's the part. I mean, they're so obsessed with the things that are in their control that just the output or the result just happens just by accident almost, like because they're so focused on the things that they want to do that they can control, like marketing, managing their KPIs or managing their team, and not even worry about the goal because they know if they do these things that they're going to get to the goal. I mean, is that what you notice? Like, I think fitness industry it's more relatable. Like you can, in that context, that people that are just focused on working out, eating healthy, it's just a matter of time before you lose weight or you get to your fitness goal. Like there's no two ways about it. Like you are going to get to that goal if you're doing those two things. Like what is it that you notice, like the mindset shift that happens?
When does the
No,
mindset
like how does that person get to that mindset shift of, okay, I'm not going to worry so much about the goal. I'm just going to worry about the things
yeah.
that are in my control.
Yeah. So I mean, part of it is listening to a conversation like this and starting to appreciate that your success